AOC has a warrant out for her arrest from the Department of Justice, and Pam Bondi just blew the whole system wide open. It all started with a clip. One that wasn't supposed to go live. One that was never meant to be public. Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, New York's fierce progressive voice, was deep in conversation with comedian Jon Stewart, or rather, John Leibovitz. The setting was relaxed, but the words? Anything but. Within hours, the clip leaked. AOC's voice wavered, caught between frustration and fury. The words came fast, unfiltered. And somewhere in her fiery rant about Trumpism, oligarchs, and her own party's failures, she crossed a line, then another, then 10 more. She called out hypocrisy. She admitted to insider corruption. Worst of all, she said it on camera. By morning, it was everywhere. Left-wing blogs tried to spin it. Right-wing networks ran it on repeat. The nation couldn't decide whether to laugh, cry, or cancel her. Meanwhile, Capitol Hill did what it always does when things get messy. It called for a hearing. Officially, a review on political rhetoric and democratic erosion. Unofficially, the trial of AOC. And at the very center, standing beneath the vaulted ceilings and the weight of a million eyes, was Pam Bondi. No shouting. No theatrics. Just waiting. Pam Bondi, Florida's former Attorney General, wasn't a usual committee member. She was a special prosecutor. Neutral? That's what they claimed. But everyone knew better. She was the blade, and AOC was the spark that set it ablaze. The room buzzed as AOC walked in. Cream-colored blazer, chin high, hands folded, but fists clenched just beneath. She knew what was coming, but she was ready to fight. The gavel struck. The chairwoman nodded. "Ms. Bondi, you have the floor." Pam stood, slow, deliberate, controlled, unshaken. She stepped forward like someone who'd done this 1,000 times. Because she had. "Ladies and gentlemen," she began, voice steady, measured. "We're not here to debate ideology. We're here to question integrity." A hush fell over the room. Pam turned, locking eyes with AOC. "Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez," she said. "Last week, during an unsanctioned live stream, you made several statements that have since caused a national uproar." She clicked a remote. The screen behind her lit up. AOC's voice boomed through the chamber. "Biden let 10 million illegal immigrants in. Probably more." Gasps. AOC blinked. Pam clicked again. "Democratic leadership? Everything sucks." This time, the gasps came from her own side. Pam paused the video. Let the silence sink in. Then she turned back. "Congresswoman," she said, stepping forward, "do you stand by those words?" AOC leaned in, voice low, unapologetic. "I stand by the truth, even when it hurts." Pam didn't flinch. "Then let's talk about hurt." She lifted a thick folder, marked Exhibit A. "You claim American voters are being ripped off. That Congress profits while the people suffer. That insider trading happens in these halls." AOC started to speak. Pam raised a finger. "Let me finish." She opened the folder. Page 1. 2019, a biotech vote. The next morning, your portfolio increased by $26,000. AOC's jaw tensed. Page 2. A green energy contract you publicly supported. Weeks later, a donation from that firm's CEO. Whispers. Pens scratched against notepads. Cameras zoomed in. Pam let the weight of the silence settle. "Congresswoman, do you call that justice? Or just performance?" All eyes turned to AOC. She didn't answer immediately. When she spoke, her voice was strong. That live stream? It wasn't rehearsed. It wasn't polished. It was raw frustration. And sometimes, frustration reveals the rot we're too afraid to face. Pam nodded. Slowly. "Then let's face it together." She clicked again. Another clip played. AOC's voice filled the chamber once more. "Insider trading. Rigged systems. Bought votes." The screen went black. Pam turned to the panel. "If a sitting member of Congress confesses corruption in real time, do we investigate? Or do we clap?" This time, the silence wasn't awkward. It was crushing. The chairwoman cleared her throat. Congresswoman Ocasio-Cortez, you may respond. AOC stood.
Steady.
Unshaken. If you want to investigate corruption, she said, then start with the donors funding both sides. Start with the loopholes written in lobbyists' offices. Start with the fact that I told the truth, and the only reason you're mad is because I didn't do it behind closed doors. Pam didn't blink. AOC took a step forward. You want a villain? I get it. But maybe the real villain is the silence that came before me. The room held its breath. And just like that, the trial had begun. The cameras rolled. The committee room was packed. And the air? Heavier than a law book stacked with shame. AOC hadn't moved. But her fingers gripped the podium just a little tighter. Pam Bondi, seated, remained serene. Still. Somehow, her silence was more dangerous than her words. The chairwoman gestured. Ms. Bondi, continue. Pam stood, same slow, deliberate pace. No rush. No wasted energy. This isn't about gotcha moments, she said, pacing before the panel. This is about who we entrust with our laws, our money, and our children's future. She turned to AOC. You said, and I quote, Democratic leadership? Everything sucks. AOC didn't flinch. But the murmurs from her own party? Louder now. Pam stepped closer. Congresswoman, do you believe Joe Biden destroyed the economy? A pause.
Slight.
But on national television? It echoed. I believe the system is broken. AOC said, careful now. Pam pressed. And who built that system? Who funds it? Who keeps it alive while pretending they're fighting for the people? AOC's lips parted, then closed again. Pam didn't wait. Do you believe insider trading happens in Congress? Yes. Have you ever reported a colleague for it? The question hung. I have raised concerns, but I haven't filed an official complaint. Pam nodded. So, outrage, without action? AOC bristled. I'm one person in a flawed system. Pam stepped forward. You weren't punished for speaking out. You were rewarded by those who profit from chaos. The room fell silent. Pam dropped the folder onto the table. Congresswoman, is this justice? Or just theater? The trial of truth. The trial wasn't about guilt or innocence. Sometimes it was about survival, the reckoning itself. The break had ended, but no one had truly rested. Staffers whispered like traitors sensing an imminent crash. Press teams refreshed their feeds. Hashtags multiplied. One trended above all. Hashtag trial of truth. Pam Bondi sat alone, reviewing her notes with the precision of a surgeon. Across the room, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez stood motionless by a marble column, her gaze steady. Not thinking, not blinking, just breathing. Then, the chairwoman returned. Committee will resume. A measured tap of the gavel pulled everyone back into the arena. Pam was the first to rise. No theatrics. No mic check. Just authority, wrapped in a tailored navy suit. Congresswoman, she began without even glancing at AOC, let's revisit your exact words from that live stream. A click. The screen flickered back to life. AOC's voice, raw with fury, echoed through the chamber. People think everyday Americans are stupid. You really think they don't see this? Gasps rippled through the room. A senator shifted in his seat. A young staffer dropped a pen. Pam let the clip play to the very last second. Then silence. She spoke quietly, almost gently. Was that frustration? Or revelation? AOC didn't answer right away. Then, it was truth.
Her voice was steady.
Unfiltered.
Raw.
Maybe messy. But still truth. Pam nodded once. Then let's stay messy. Another click. The footage jumped forward. They sit on a committee. They get insider information. And then, immediately, they make a call. Pam turned, locking eyes with AOC. Are you accusing members of Congress of criminal conduct? A breath. Then, I'm accusing the system of allowing it. Pam tilted her head. Specific enough to stir outrage. Vague enough to dodge responsibility. AOC's response came sharper this time.
No.
Specific enough that people watching understand, even if you don't want to admit it. Pam took a step forward, then named names. The air in the room thickened. Cameras zoomed in. AOC didn't blink. I'm not here to burn people. I'm here to break the machine. Pam's eyebrow lifted. Breaking machines requires precision, not poetry. From the stack of files before her, Pam pulled another folder. This, she said, holding it up, is a record of every stock transaction made by members of Congress in the last 18 months. The folder hit the table with a dull thud. Thousands of trades, dozens of profits, none illegal, all unethical. Her voice sharpened. You talk about public trust? This is what's eroding it. Then, turning back to AOC. But when you participate in that erosion, directly or indirectly, you don't get to stand on the rubble and claim the moral high ground. AOC stepped forward. Then, maybe it's time we rebuild the ground itself. Pam folded her arms. With what? More outrage? More performative anger? Or actual policy? AOC's eyes narrowed. You think what I do is performance? Pam didn't blink. I think it's convenient.
A beat.
No one moved. Then Pam spoke again. You claim to speak for the people. But which people? The ones in soundbites? Or the ones who can't afford rent while you wear gowns at the Met?
A blow. The Metchala.
AOC's jaw tightened. She didn't answer immediately. I went to call attention to wealth inequality. Pam's lips curved slightly, and ended up proving it. Gasps, even from AOC's own side. AOC's voice was measured now. I'm not perfect, but I'm present. I show up. I speak out. Pam nodded. You speak loudly. But this isn't about volume. It's about consequences. A final click. The last clip played. AOC's voice, hoarse, breaking. And we're supposed to act like money only corrupts Republicans? Give me a break. Silence. It fell like a curtain. Pam stepped forward.
Slowly.
Congresswoman, do you believe your own party is corrupt? AOC exhaled. I believe power corrupts when no one checks it. Pam didn't move. So yes.
A pause.
Then AOC answered, clear, deliberate.
Yes.
Even my party. Especially when they think no one will call them out. Pam nodded. Then let the record show. The witness admits institutional rot across the aisle, including her own. Turning to the panel, she declared, this isn't an attack. It's an audit. And it starts with the people who shout the loudest, then try to whisper the truth. The chairwoman raised her hand. The trial wasn't over. But for the first time, the reckoning had begun.